Are you ready to be digitally manipulated, Pat?
Whoa. You didn't even tell me you were going to do that. I am, and I'm excited. Let's do it.
All right. What is going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
And I'm Pat.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast. All right, so we have an incredible record this week from 2007. One of the greatest of all time, I would dare to say. It is an album that starts and finishes at 11 and maintains that the entire way through. I feel like it's an anomaly in any record in the world, and I'm super excited to talk about it today.
Yes, as am I. High energy material for some high energy podcasting. That's what I say. So let's keep it high energy. Also, I came up with a game to play as we work our way through. It's called Did This Song Make You Want to Run Through a Brick Wall? And it's going to be a fun game. So there's a lot going on, and there's a lot to talk about. And when did you first encounter this fine collection of insanely upbeat music?
I believe this is the same Sherpa that introduced me to, what was it a few weeks ago? We were talking about Ryan, who I went to college with. Oh, he introduced me to the Wonder Years, yeah. And I don't remember the day I first heard this. It just seemed like one day I didn't know the greatest thing in the world was out there, and then the next day everyone knew that the greatest thing in the world was there, and everyone was talking about it, everyone was listening to it, everyone was calling it happy hardcore at the time, and people were trying to wrap their heads around like the whole thing is one long breakdown, but it doesn't sound angry, there's not that much screaming, it's just hardcore music that's like happy sounding as hell. And it's funny because years later, one of my friends would talk about how happy hardcore is like the worst genre of music ever. And I was like, what? And I was like trying to like, are you fucking kidding me? It turns out there's like a genre of EDM or like electronic music from the 90s called happy hardcore, and it is actually terrible. But since then, I think the scene has gone on to rebrand this as easycore, which is even better than happy hardcore. Okay. And I think this was like...
Are you suggesting that the genre is dead, my dude?
So maybe we have a shirt that also implies such a notion, but...
That's my new rule in the show. I'm just going to reference our t-shirts while you do your journal, which has been most of the show anyway, so I don't think we're losing too much.
Reminiscentpodcast.com/shop. You can buy all our pop punk and emo t-shirts, but I think this album was the birth of easycore. Like, they invented a genre in a way that no one else had taken it to such extremes as Rise or Die Trying, which is what we're talking about, by the way. I don't know if we've even said the name yet, but yes, 4 Year Strong, Rise or Die Trying. They took it to an extreme that no one else had at the time, and then every band after 2007, Rise or Die Trying, was trying to do what 4 Year Strong did, and I don't even think 4 Year Strong past 2007 has done as good of a job as they did on this record.
I don't know. I guess I don't want to just come in and be like, you're wrong. I'm just not sure how many copycats there were. Because of how unique it was. To me, nothing sounded quite like what this was.
Well, we had an eerie band called In the Day that was actually very good. They got pretty good over time. It was some of our friends that we played shows with. Jessica Tello was the drummer, and Shane, oh God, what were the other guys' names? Some dudes that we know went to Edinburgh, and they were...
There's a few more Shanes, several Shanes, I remember.
And so they were doing it. I feel like, well, okay.
I'm glad if I was talking to a random stranger, they would have just been like, oh yeah, but you're like, we're close enough friends that you know that you would have known I would have known more Shanes or not, and you know I don't. I don't know who that was for, but I enjoyed it, so thanks for being here, everybody.
Well, you said that like approaching 2008, 2009, every song had, like, by scene law, had to have a breakdown in it. You don't think this band was responsible?
Responsible? When did this record come out?
2007.
Responsible, dude. Do you think like Attack was like, yes, I did this because of 4 Years Strong? I don't think so.
No. No. I mean, like pop punk bands, 4 Under Par had breakdowns in their music all of a sudden.
Right. I think this was birthed from a larger movement, if I had to say. I don't know. I think you're giving them a little, you're turning me into a bad man here. I don't want to be the naysayer on our pod. I just don't know if they had, this was a really cool, unique thing. I just don't know if there was, the whole world took, like last week, or not last week, a couple weeks ago, we talked about the upsides, and we both thought it was way bigger than it probably actually was, right? And, but this one kind of felt as big as it probably actually was. Like you saw them in Erie, for example, right? Like they weren't mammoth by any means. I just don't know if they would have had that type of pull outside of the greater Boston area.
Dude, again, I feel like they took over the world because every friend that I had...
We run into this every week, though.
That's all they talked about.
You're like, they basically are bigger than Fleetwood Mac. And I'm like, they are statistically not. And we have to establish that right away.
Let's get into the fun facts.
Sure,
then,
please.
Because I have some other... Okay, so these were verified fun facts. This album outsold Purple Rain by Prince. And the tour for this album was the highest selling tour in U.S. history.
The soundtrack to the movie Purple Rain?
Or is that the name of the album by Prince? 10 billion units sold, and it is,
really?
verified by the internet, the best band of all time.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is all real. Or is it? I can't tell with you. I saw the notes, and I was like, I'm going to let him have his moment, but also sometimes I am surprised by the stats. Was it legit? There's no way these sold out Prince. They outsold Prince. There's just 0% chance.
Is there even an album called Purple Rain?
That's like, there's a song in a movie. I'm sure it was one of the albums. I don't know off the top of my head. But that's why I said the soundtrack. I'm like, there's a super awesomely cheesy 80s movie where he plays himself, like trying to break out of the Minneapolis music scene, like, just a young singer-songwriter who basically plays himself, I guess. But
no, it's an album.
Cool. Yeah.
According to Wikipedia.
If it is, it definitely wouldn't have sold fewer units than fucking Rise or Die Trying.
Okay, well, I've got some real numbers here. It was really hard to find any information on the band.
I think that's telling. I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, we love this. We're recording. We're spending time out of our week having dinner with our wives to just talk for an hour about it. I'm not like saying I dislike it, but you're coming in so hot. I'm just asking you to like, just take a little cool off a little bit. I don't know what the that sound effect was supposed to be.
Okay. Hear me out on this. I'm on genius.com, which is your best source for lyrics and lyric explanations.
This is my favorite part of doing this show, and I mean that.
Okay. Yesterday, Kevin James O'Brien commented, I'm just going to read the first line. 4 Years Strong's sophomore record, Rise or Die Trying, ... Sophomore record. Did you know this?
Yeah, I guess.
What?
I mean, I was surprised to learn Good Charlotte had another record. So like, I'm obviously not like the most well-read thing. Like every time in my life, I thought there hasn't been, there has been. So that's why I'm not reacting. You're like, oh, they had a record before this. Every time I've ever been like, no, they've been like, yes, they fucking super have. Actually, there's many. So
dude, I knew that they had a couple EPs. I had no idea there was a full record called It's Our Time that came out in 2005.
Nor did I. You know what? I bet it's pretty energetic though.
So, okay. They had been a band for 5 years before this album came out. And I think that's kind of cool because, like, with a lot of, like, manufactured bands, but also a lot of other bands that just, like, seems like they showed up one day. It's like, oh, man, they weren't here yesterday and now they're famous. Like, it's cool to hear that, like, no, there were 5 years of probably very, very hard work. I think it was a full album and 2 EPs that came out before this. The band met in high school. Those stories are always fun. This album charted number 31 on Billboard Heat Seekers in 2007, and I don't know, there was no source or timestamp or anything on Wikipedia. It says the album has sold over 50,000 copies, which again is shocking because, again, I feel like this is the number one selling album of all time with how much it just invaded my entire universe and everyone who I associated with. This was like their favorite album.
50,000 does sound low.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Well, okay.
I mean, we do most of our research off Wikipedia, which is like the knock against conversational dude podcasts. That seems low. But maybe it's more niche than we both thought after all. I don't know. I mean, like Easy Mac Core? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it just says everything I'm seeing has sold over 50,000 copies. And yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen them 2 or 3 times. Saw them at, I think it was Forward Hall in Erie, PA. And then Ryan and I saw them our freshman year of college in DC down on 8th Street before it was like revitalized, and it was super scary down there. Like, I wanted to run from our bus stop to the venue. But one of my favorite, so we both wore like super, super short, like cut off jorts. And I remember on the bus, we X'd up our hands, like big black X's with those like massive Sharpies that like destroy every brain cell in a second. You know what I mean? Like those big ones.
I'm with you. You can practically shake it like a spray paint can.
So the singers, Dan and Alan, were straight edge, and we were, I think he still is as well, as am I. And it was the first time I've ever X'd up at a show. And it was just like, I don't know, man. It was so fun. We had so much fun at the show. The crowd went fucking wild. It was this tiny venue, and the place just like exploded. I couldn't believe it was still standing by the time that show was done. And I think that, you know, some bands you get a little push pit and maybe a circle pit, but like, dude, this place was off the rails the entire 45 minutes or whatever they played. So I just imagine like, yeah, the entire universe loves this band as much as we do, because all you saw from them in their music videos, live in their music, was like stoked to 11 all the time. So I think I do think a lot of times we not overvalue, but in our heads, we think these bands are bigger than they are, because I don't think at this time we were listening to the pop stuff on the radio. So this is all we had, and we assumed that it was world's greatest or whatever.
And it's interesting you say that they were together for 5 years, because there's a lot going on the record. I mean, of course it's energetic, of course it's fast paced, but we were talking about watching a few YouTube videos of them playing live before we hopped on. It would take at least 5 years to get even close to the type of rapport with your bandmates to be playing those sorts of arrangements live, right? I mean, 2 singers, 2 lead guitars was kind of the joke you made. Like, that's a pretty rare lineup of features for a band to have, kind of so aggressive, so quick, moving in and out of certain things. You could have said it was 12 years and I would have believed you, just because like there's a lot going on at all times.
Yeah. Yeah, they never slow down for a second. And I think on one hand, it could be easy to say like, oh, this album's one-dimensional, or like they don't take any risks. It's all the same thing, but they do it.
Screw that.
Probably better than anyone has ever done it. And every second of this record is just like, what it sounds like to me is like every band member is flexing as hard as they can at all times. And usually it never comes together in a cohesive way, but something about the 5 members of this band, it just came together perfectly. And I don't think an album like this can ever be redone with as much energy, weirdly elegance, and I don't know, just like raw talent and excitement. I don't think it can ever be done again.
Well, you mentioned people saying like it's one-dimensional. Like, people don't go to Andrew WK for nuance. Like, they don't listen to I Get Wet because they don't want to party. You know what I mean? Like, but that doesn't mean we should be upset that it exists. Like, oh, he's only one-dimensional. It's like, yeah, man, that's the bit. That's the whole, that's his, like, that's what he's gifting the world, is this. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why you would be upset by that. Like, oh man, all these songs are going to get me pumped up. Like, every single one of them. Like, it's an odd complaint to me, but
I do want to clarify, I've never heard anyone say that. I'm just saying, like, I could understand if someone was like, they never like slow it down for a second, but like, I'm so glad they don't. This album is unwavering, right. And it's...
Yes. Oh, unapologetic. Yeah. Unwavering.
Yeah.
They, well, you mentioned like, usually we've talked about Paramore, a lot of bands on this show by now. Usually there's a ballad, at least one, right? They make the attempt. The band usually
Track
does.
8.
Yeah.
Let's make it acoustic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Some bands more than others. obviously, right? There's many types of bands. It's the hottest take I've ever dropped on this show. Uh, but they don't even try, man. Like, they're just like, this is we're just going to lay it down. And I imagine the show you went to it snapped into place for you. You were like, oh, this is the best thing, like, to experience, because if you just want to go throw down, instead of having to go to, like, and I'm not even dissing, like, the predecessors, but, like, if we're taking it all the way back to, like, Black Flag days and stuff, like, we're going to rise above, kind of like the birth of US punk or whatever, or like the rebirth, or I forget which fucking era that was, but, you know, kind of not simplistic, but just, like, pretty basic, straightforward stuff to, like, flash forward if you, like, time traveled a teen from that era to, like, a 4 Year Strong show. They would have been like, okay, things are super the same, but yet they're different in almost every way. I'm sure it would be jarring in a lot of ways, right? Do you agree? Like,
oh yeah, I mean, back then, I'm not a huge fan of older punk music, if not for the recording quality. Just, it's very simple, just and, like, again, unwavering.
The building blocks had to be placed for things to come after. So there's an amount of respect that you got to lay down at the altar for sure. But I bet you a teen, if they saw 4 Year Strong, if people that used to go to those Black Flag shows and stuff, I'm sure they would be like, damn. I don't know, right? There's got to be a certain level of, like, things. There's a level of showmanship and sophistication, I guess, that would either turn them off, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe they're not. Maybe they wouldn't be hardcore enough, but I don't know. Putting X's on your hands at the bus stop and sprinting to the venue. It sounds close enough. As long as you got spit on and kicked in the face. I read some Black Flag lead singer essay and, like, a throwback article in Spin this week online. It got pretty gnarly in Europe, it sounded like. But anyway, I'm not here to compare that to that. But the fast-paced nature, I think, was one of the reasons in the summer we came to see you 3 times in DC, when I wasn't in a car with Zach coming to see you, or I guess coming home from seeing you for that matter. I was just riding my dad's bike around Erie. The 2 albums I listened to were the self-titled Say Anything album and Rise or Die Trying. I think for obvious reasons, Rise or Die Trying had to be one of them. I'd find myself, like, out in the middle of the peninsula, which is like 20-mile bike ride from where I am on, like, the east side of Erie in Lawrence Park, which is like the first township east. And then be like, okay, cool. Got 20 more miles to get back home. So it might be only 8 or something, but you get the idea. But huge laps around Erie, just kind of like post-college breakup, just like doing anything to keep your brain focused on not what is lying back when you get home and you get to, like, sit down and think about all the stuff. But this helped me get home. It was usually like, listen to Say Anything on as far out as I could go, and then use 4 Year Strong to help me get home, kind of. So that was usually the recipe. And I'm forever grateful for that, because I'm not sure. Like, my dad's bike was pretty old and wasn't exactly like, it was no Talia, was it?
Talia.
Yeah. So I got it right. Your bike, your fixie. So it didn't shift gears super well. It was just old. It was just a bike, like a street bike from, I don't know, the 70s or whatever. So it definitely needed more manpower to get it to work. And it wasn't like the machine was going to help you often, especially if you're going up an incline or something. So anyway, the gang vocals would just be like, tag. I don't know. I kind of just want to get into it a little bit, because the first 3 songs on the album, again, all of them, but the first 3 especially, it's just like, do-dum, do-dum, do-do-do-do-do-do. You're like, all of a sudden you've gone 4 miles. You're like, oh man, this is magic. What the hell just happened? Your heart's beating through your, like, in your ears. You're just like, oh, geez. I don't know.
Yeah, let's start it. I mean, we have the takeover, the intro.
Okay. Should we kick off the game?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Tom, did track 1, the takeover, on the 4 Year Strong album, Rise or Die Trying, make you want to run through a brick wall? Yes or no?
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding. Correct. It did. That's the game. It did. It's the Sirens. It's a good album opener.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't call it a throwaway, but there's like that trope, right, where it's like welcome to the album. We're not going to go for more than a minute, but this is the basic, like, thesis statement, right? Sirens. We're going to use the phrase "calling all cars" very soon. Like, it's good. It's going to go the down, and it's perfect. It's perfect in every way for the trope that they use, right? Like, this is going to just brace yourselves. I don't know. I would say yes. It also makes me want to run through a brick wall, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Well, okay. A lot of bands will do the intro song, but rarely do I want to hear it as the album loops back to the beginning.
Yes.
I think The Takeover, the intro for Rise or Die Trying, is a song that is good enough to stand on its own. It's not just introducing the record. It's also a very good song. And the build is great. Like, a breakdown is coming. They don't quite give it to you at 100%, but the drums leading up, I remember trying to nail down that pattern until I realized it was just like sets of 4, like doom, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, doom, doom, doom. And like that set of 4, I always felt like it was like missing one or something. But man, once you get it, once you learn how to count, it makes sense. And
it helps with music, especially percussion for sure.
I never counted while playing drums, and I think that's why I was never that good. But
Tom was
anyways.
Good. He was being modest. He's a skilled man. I want to say this. As much as things change, things don't really change. The we're going straight until morning thing, when I was re-listening to it this week, you could mention anything, but the no sleep till Brooklyn Beastie Boys thing, I'm not saying 4 Years Strong is what the Beastie Boys were. Also, I forget what sporting event. There's going to be some Spike Jonze documentary about the Beastie Boys, which might be interesting, but kind of we're hard as hell. We don't really sleep. We travel. There's cop noises. I don't know. It's just kind of like recycled stuff that many generations past us, I'm sure, will hopefully get super hyped to.
Yeah.
It's exciting because when you don't have like grown-up problems, you're like, what's the most trouble I can get in? Not sleeping at all will definitely make the next day super, like, it's like one of the few things you can control. So it's like, oh man, they're really going for it, aren't they? They're not going to sleep. I bet you they're not even lying about that.
So yeah, really fun kind of breakdown starts off the album, and then it's seamless right into track 2, Prepare to Be Digitally Manipulated.
Which, that was a nice opening to the show, man. Is that off the cuff, or did you have that planned?
That was right out of the top of my genius brain.
Oh my gosh. You're like, I don't know how to count.
Didn't prepare it at all.
You're being too modest. I don't care if you count when you drum. That was an amazing. That threw me off. I was like, I don't even know if I want to continue. I've been upstaged already. All right, Tom. Did track 2, Prepare to Be Digitally Manipulated, make you, Thomas Patrick Kelly, want to run through a fucking wall?
Absolutely, it did.
Ding, 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 ding. Correct. Of course it did.
Oh my God. So this
is the best game we've ever come up with.
Well, give yourself the credit, but all right. Well, no, not to say that it's not a good idea. I just, I didn't come up with it.
It's the easiest game we've ever come up with. I can say that.
So this is like the first full taste of the album. And again, it starts off so hard. Oh my God. And they are like full flex. Everyone's doing everything they can all at once.
A little synth too. Like,
oh yeah. Yes. I forgot how prevalent the synth was in 2007, but yeah, we have some really cool. It's like, again, both guitarists are lead guitarists. And that's really interesting because pop punk, it's like criticized for power chords and doing some octaves over and the do like just like the same thing over and over. And
Tom DeLonge's career, basically.
Right, exactly. And which, no shame, but like they were doing something so different. All the guitars are like doing something crazy at all times. There is like, if you really listen to this record and you just like listen to all the different guitar stuff going in and out, it is no wonder that like maybe they're a little sloppy live, but like they're both lead singers, they're both lead guitarists, and they're doing really like pretty complex guitar rhythms that are like counterparts to the vocals. I can't believe anyone on earth can perform these two things together and on the level that they did.
In college, I played this song for a guy who played a lot of metal, like electric guitar in his room, just kind of listen to Metallica or something. And he would like basically do drugs and do that. And I asked him, I was like, as a guitar player, is this hard? He's like, it's not hard in the sense that it's complex, like next level, but it's fast and very Like he credited it more for the speed and like what they were choosing to do, but not necessarily that they were doing like, they didn't have to do 4 decades worth of guitar work to master this like particular, I don't know. I forget how he described it exactly, but it was just like, I think it's just fast as hell, but I'm also pretty high, so it's hard to tell. So he wasn't much help, but he seemed to think that he was just more impressed by like, they're choosing to go about this in like doing an easy thing in a very confusing way or something.
Well, okay, I think I give them credit that they're not doing these like crazy sweeping arpeggios that like takes complex music theory to master, but like it is never, I don't think they're ever just riding a power chord. It's always something, I don't want to say spastic in the negative sense, but like...
No, use it in the positive.
It is...
Spastic.
It's like if someone with ADHD did cocaine and learned how to play 6 years worth of guitar in one day and didn't know what to focus on, but it turned out beautiful.
Okay.
It is
like that dude that redrew the New York skyline after one helicopter ride or whatever.
right. So it is full flex all the time. The guitars are always doing something very melodically and rhythmically interesting. That's the thing. It's never just, oh, that's a fun melody, but they're doing straight eighth notes. It is like these super fast triplets and like I really applaud their, like, again, we've said this before, they did not have to go that hard, but they did.
And they did it for us. No, for usual, I'll stay more in my lane of lyrical analysis. Causing trouble is my business, and the business is good, and now we're calling all cars. They're pretty much, looking back, it's definitely simpler than it felt at the time because there was so much going on, but like, I mean, that's a pretty cool, I don't know. I remember being so, and I still am. I'm not, I'm less cool probably than I was then. So like they're laying it out. Like we're bad. We're not good. We're bad. Damn it. And we're going to keep playing as quickly as we can. Darn it. So I don't know. It's just, the sirens, everything, like you're like, okay, I wonder if they'll keep this up. How long will they keep this up? We're at track 2. This is interesting. It turns out they keep it up the whole way, but it's so in your face. Just causing trouble is the business, and the business is good. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I guess they're just talking directly to me. I know this now. Thank you for warning me. It's definitely in your face.
Can we quickly talk about how? Okay. Whenever I think of two vocalists, I think of Take It Back Sunday and I think of Blink-182. And sometimes they'll trade off verses. One person will do a line, one person will do the other. And again, 4 Years Strong could have just done, you do a line, I do a line. But it's like, you do a word, I do a word. You do 2 words, I do 3 words. And it's back and forth so fast. It is like panning slightly left and right in the mix. And it's just like, even when they choose to switch vocalists is spastic and incredible and complicated, because like not only are you playing these, again, complex guitar parts, but you're singing, half of this verse and like your words are on like the offbeats, and then you have to do harmonies to the other ones. There's harmonies the whole time. It is an exercise in complexity for the genre, I think. And again, it's like, how can we do the most in 3.5 minutes?
Yeah, again, you saying they were together for 5 years before we heard about them makes more and more sense the more we talk about it. Like just the amount of practice necessary to probably even get ready to go back on tour after they've taken a break, I imagine. Like the timing of it all has to be so tight, just to even be able to play it in the basement together. You ready to move on to track 3? Does Abandon Ship or Abandon All Hope, track 3 on the 4 Years Strong album, Rise or Die Trying, make me want to run through a brick wall? Yes, it does. Ding, 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 ding. Sorry, I took that one. I took that one from you. That was the correct answer, though. It does, in fact, make me want to run through a brick wall. I just wrote drums, guitar, gang vocals, period, in my notes. I could have written those for probably every song. And I think we made the joke earlier the other day. Is it possible for a band to make a career out of breakdowns and gang vocals? The answer is yes, and there's no reason to be upset about it. It's just a good thing. Yeah, I mean, if you're one dimensional, I mean, what if the one dimension is like one of the best things you've ever heard? Like it's the complexity demands your attention in such a way. You're like, what the hell are they doing? It's like causing it. Like the lyric that jumps off the page to me in this song is, "You got to move a little faster, faster to make it out of this disaster." I'm like, now you're even talking fast. Like, what the? Like, are you guys gonna like? It's almost like that. What's that Keanu Reeves action movie where the bus has to be traveling, or I think it's probably called something obvious, like fast moving vehicle or whatever I forget what it's called.
Oh, if his heart rate goes down, he dies or whatever.
That was a different one, similar obvious concept. But it's almost like they're in the recording booth and there's a gun at one of their heads, and they're just like, if you go under however many beats per minute or whatever, like we're gonna fucking kill you. Like somebody go check on these guys. But that's how it felt. And that's, again, like I said, I'd be like 8 miles down the road. I'd just be home and I'd be like, oh my God, I was just setting personal records for biking across the city of Erie left and right. Like, how did that even happen? I'd wake up the next morning, I couldn't like feel my body. Like, okay, it's coming. It makes sense now. But just uncanny speeds and energy, which again, forever grateful. But the gang vocals on this one kind of jump out. It's an attack on the senses in every sense, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love that, again, it seamlessly comes in from track 2. So the first 3 are all kind of like a seamless thing. And you're thinking, okay, the first 3 were kind of like a trilogy. Maybe we'll slow down after this. Nope. But this is a really, really fun song. I think the intro is really fun. And again, I just wrote down, really listen to how much guitar is happening in this album. God fucking damn.
Yeah. Our notes are simple for this. If you looked at our Google Doc, it's just like, wow, damn, fast, drums, gang vocals, whoa, OMG. Like, we're just reacting to it. Like, we don't even have nuanced things to say. It's just like, oh, did you remember that they did that? Oh, yes. Oh, God. Oh, God.
So I have a note here that for a very long time, I thought the chorus was, "Hey girl, come and drag me down before I take the dive."
I thought that too. I still think that. What is it?
Anchor.
Oh. Anchor gonna drag me down?
Anchor, come and drag me down.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't believe it for a second.
Oh, I love this line. "I'm sweating out the fever that's been spreading on the dance floor."
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
man.
That's the thing. You mentioned the happy hardcore thing. There was nothing off-putting about it. It demanded your attention because of how all over the place it was, and tight. Not all over the place. How sporadic it felt, but also together and in sync it felt. But it was all like the fever spreading on the dance floor is like the most joyful like vibe ever. I don't know. It's just like, I feel like I'm at a hardcore show, but I don't feel upset. I don't know. It's just like this. It's rare. I feel it's probably more rare than I guess we're realizing this in real time while we're recording this, for someone to go that hard, but be able to be smiling throughout all of it, right? Like,
yeah. Wait. Oh my God. I think there's a hidden message in this song.
Lay it on me.
You mentioned "gun to the head, sing faster." All right. I swear to God, this was not planned, but the next line after "I'm sweating out the fever that's been spreading on the dance floor" is, "Pick your feet up on the ground. They've got to move a little faster, faster to make it out of this disaster. Will you last or will you fall to your knees?" That's a cry for help.
Like a Popeye villain, like shooting peas at Olive's feet or something. Like, dance.
No, it's like, you got to go faster, else they're going to kill you.
That's right. Hey, that's the lyric I wrote down. It jumps out. Move it. And also, he says it so fast. Move a little faster to make it out of this disaster. It's like he finishes before he needed to, and he holds out the last note as a faster. I don't know. It's like, no, you're good. You made it in time. Actually, you're going to have to hold the note out a little longer. We fit a lot in there. Okay. Obviously very good. And we might have to burn through a couple of these. I think we're maybe running long per usual.
No, it's fine, man. I do want to say, though, that this album, I remembered it on this song the most, but like, we were in a band. Zach was the singer, and he was always like, "Tom, you should like sing harmonies." And they never made sense to me. I did not understand the concept of it. I didn't know how to. And I've said this before about other albums on this show, but like, this is one of the albums that just, again, has like unrelenting third harmonies throughout the whole thing. It's like never a second without harmonies. And they're not just for texture. They are loud. Like they are a centerpiece on this album, just like every other instrument. But like this album taught me how to hear and how to find harmonies and to sing them. And I think that's kind of fun. It's just, it never ends.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Track 4. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die. I'm going to ask myself this one, but if you want to just answer before I answer, that's fine. But this is round 4 of the game. We've come a long way. So far, we haven't gotten a single question wrong. Okay? So there's a lot at stake, but I will ask. First person to answer gets to move on to the next round. Does Heroes Get Remembered, Legends Never Die, off of the album Rise or Die Trying by 4 Years Strong, make you want to run through a brick wall?
Yes.
Oh, I was even saying it. Damn it. Okay. Ding, 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 ding. You got it. Hey, that's the right answer. Cool. It does make you want to run through a brick wall. This was, I think, one of their first quote-unquote videos for this album, because I don't know how high budget the music videos were. So this is one of the quote-unquote singles. Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah, this is the big one, for sure.
Thoughts on this being the big one? What's your mood? What's your vibe?
It makes sense.
Can we get a vibe check in Isle Tom?
It makes sense. I mean...
That was the worst thing I've ever said in my life. I'm so sorry.
I mean, the whole song is great, but obviously the big payoff is that like anthemic gang vocal chorus at the end, and it's so empowering. And like, again, the whole like vibe in the scene at this time was like, oh, I've got my friends, I've got my brothers, like, you know, go to the show and, you know, whatever. And in the video, it portrays, again, it's just a live video, which are rarely done that interestingly, but the crowd is just tearing this venue to the studs. And I thought when I went to see them, like, there's no way the show is going to live up to the hype of their music video. It was their hometown. Kids were like showing up, trying to get in the video. But I swear to God, Pat, the entire show mimicked, like frame for frame, that music video. Kids were losing their fucking minds. It was like a stage dive every other half second.
I believe it. I believe it. Here's my question.
Oh my God.
When they were together for 5 years, what were the shows like when they bombed? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I wonder what that would have looked like. It would have seemed so odd. It makes so much sense when you see the final product. But again, some of these bands grind for years, right? Acts, musical acts, not just bands, obviously. You know, it had to have felt so good for them to just start getting night in, night out, people understanding the buzz growing. I bet you, like, I'm sure it was exhilarating, as it would be for any band. But here's my hot take of the episode. Get ready. All right. This is one of the top 3 match-related lyrics of the decade. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
In first place, I got to give it to this glass house is burning down. I like the match. You stick around, taking back Sunday where you want to be. Number 2 is sad enough to say that alone I could barely let a match, but together we could burn this place down.
Oh, yeah.
Of this song. 3 is Slide to Incinerate the Lies, whatever song, MCR song that is. I forget. I can't do that off the top of my head. I had none of this written down. But I'm going to say it's in the top 3 match-related lyrics of the decade. And I think I'm ready to die on that hill, Tom. Just create... That's my whole podcasting strategy. Create such a specific opinion that people would really have to go out of their way to challenge it. And at this point, I would be welcoming any like matchbook-related... I wonder if Matchbook Romance sang about matches while we're at it. I'm just curious. Please stop this. I'll end it.
Tweet at the show at _RevenantFM.
Give me
what is your favorite early 2000s match-related lyric?
Just match-related content. Anything. It doesn't have to be a lyric. I'm sure it's been, yeah. Anyway,
oh my God.
That's what I think about those words.
All right. So my story about this song is the second time we saw them in DC. First of all, that shady street that we were on, this place looked like it had been abandoned for 20 years. This whole street, all of 8th Street. It's all hip and dumb now with, you know, shuffleboard bars and stuff. But we got off this bus and there was another bus in front of us, and it was like, I don't know if it was a bunch of people heading to a drag show, but it was a bunch of drag queens that started like catcalling us when we got off the bus because we were in like basically booty shorts, and they're like, "Hey!" and started like running up to us, and Ryan and I were just like, "Oh God!"
This is what it's like when worlds collide, dude.
Ran into the venue. But anyway, so Heroes Get Remembered, Legends Never Die. They closed with that song, obviously.
Ooh.
I think they were above it to pretend to do the encore. They're just like, this is the last one. And like, again, that line, sad enough to say that alone, I could barely let a match, but together we can burn this place down. I think it's such a powerful line, and it's like, it feels almost silly to like talk about the band in this regard of like, so inspiring and empowering, but like it really is. And you know, the sum of the whole is greater than its parts or whatever. It's kind
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Is this the double pedal bass song of the decade? Because it was hot for a minute. This might be. I'm just curious.
This is the song they do it the most on. I think it's the most just kind of straight double kick we have on the album. You know?
Yes. Is this the only time it actually worked for how often it was done?
Probably. Probably.
So many local bands like, I got one. Don't use it. Please, God, no. Why? I'm sure it did like local music stores a lot of business just to have them in stock in like '07, but it was so rarely worth it, I feel like.
Yeah.
Except for this song. Like, this song was the only time I was like, oh, you know, I'm glad the bass was played quicker than normal on this one.
Well, all right. So at the show, 8th Street in DC, this would have been probably winter of 2010, just coming out of 29. So we're freshmen in college, and they close with this song. And again, the entire place is like blowing decibel meters off the charts with the refrain of Sad Enough to Say. And everyone's rushing the stage because they all want to stage dive. And right when it comes to the breakdown, I dive off the stage, but I'm so in the moment, I'm so hyped that rather than diving and you kind of splay your body out so that there's more surface area for people to catch, dude, I dived like I was going into the deep end of the pool. Like, totally like head first pencil dive.
No.
And all I remember was like, it was like I blacked out. I mean, this was like my favorite band, this and the Wonder Years, just like nonstop. I don't think the Upsides had come out yet, but I remember looking at the floor from about a foot away as I'm like literally heading face first into the hardwood floor. No one caught me because I made my body as small as possible. And I don't remember what happened, but I just knew that all of a sudden I was standing on my feet and my right shoulder hurt so badly. And I don't know if in that last split second I tucked and rolled out of it, but I dove into the deep end of a crowd and somehow did not break my neck. And I feel like it was an absolute miracle.
Sometimes those like flight or fight reflexes that don't make sense in real time. I don't think I've ever been more grateful for anything. I think there was a time at the sophomore lockdown when Mischief Snyder threw a football way too far for me, and I went running after it and slammed into a concrete barrier and smashed my face into the corner of it and was bleeding out of my face.
Oh my God.
I've never been more grateful for probably what was a microsecond reaction to lift up and not just gooify my eyeball on the corner of that thing. Like,
God.
I'm sure your reaction and I'm sure your brain saved you somehow.
Yeah.
Like, and it is a miracle, really, is what it is. But it's also like years, biology or whatever. Or, I don't know.
Right.
I feel so stupid often, all the time, actually. But I'm sure it felt like that. But then adrenaline is such a blessing because, like, when you're in the thick of it, you don't feel what you should be feeling, which is good, but also kind of dangerous. I'm sure you like nearly broke your shattered your shoulder blade. You know what I mean? Like. But like by some like grace of some like, I don't know. That's an amazing story, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like that's always fascinating me. We're not doing a pod about like body reactions, but now I kind of want to. You know what I mean? Like sometimes like when your body takes over in survival mode, it really wows me. And that's a good example of it.
I've experienced it twice in my life. The other time was when I went over the hood of a car on my bicycle going like 30 miles an hour. And I flew like 20 feet and I was just on my feet, bleeding profusely from the head, screaming, "Yeah, baby!"
Oh, God. Isn't that... You know what? That's actually how this album feels, Tom, is you wake up at the end of it. You wake up at the end and you're just like, yeah. And then you're like, what the just happened? Like, and
Your
why did it
is
happen?
showing. Sit
yeah,
down.
I know. Sir, this is a Wendy's, right? Just too hype to function. Get me the out of public is what my friend Nick in college used to say. We'd be out somewhere and he'd be making a fool of himself after being hungover or whatever, and he would just like his brain was goo, and he'd just be like, get me the out of public, man. And it was always just a rallying cry to just go back to our holes and hydrate and take showers and just put 12 hours between us and whatever had happened in the previous evening. But anyway, yeah, adrenaline. What a thing. Shall we move on?
Yeah, we are only on track 5 of
Let's
11.
rip through. This happens. I was like, oh, this one's going to be short because we don't.
So we got wrecked him, damn near killed him. Track
Did
5.
it make you want to run through a wall?
Oh, yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. Okay, track 6, catastrophe.
Wait, no. Jesus Christ.
You said, move a little faster to make it out of this disaster, Tom. Jesus Christ, you act like you're even a 4-year strong fan.
So, first of all, genius lyrics. Line 1, she's 1 in a million, which makes my chances about 1,000,000 to 1. Ozark X says, this girl's one of a kind. Which, no, she's not. She's 1 in a million. So there's many. This girl's one of a kind. She's incredible, and Dan's chances with her are pretty much 0.
Damn it. All heroes don't wear capes, for sure. And it would be depressing if those didn't exist, so I never want to discourage people from doing them, but damn it, I love it so much.
26,000 upvotes.
Yes, dude. Yes.
Wait, maybe that's just for his profile, not for the comment. Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to say, but he uses his first name. I'm like, Dan doesn't stand much of a chance. Dan's just a regular guy. Anyway.
Dan is a stapler.
Yeah. All right. Getting slap happy here.
Okay.
It's happening to me. I feel myself like my heart beating faster just talking about the record I'm even listening to it.
Oh, yeah. I
Catastrophe.
do want to say, I do want to say, okay, one last thing. The end of this song, the come on, check, can you hear me now, is like, okay, again, the whole song is great. The whole song is a 9.5, but like the reprise at the end is so good. It's like, again, it's like the whole song is so good and you just have the anticipation of the ending, but you can still enjoy what's like.
You know what it is?
What?
It is like they did that cover album where they covered that Everclear song So Much for the Afterglow, and they have the angelic tones. It's like they're flirting with the idea of being a completely different band, showing you that they have the ability to do exactly that, but they are just choosing not to. Like the vocals of the Can You Hear Me Now and the way they change pace for a second, you're like, I wonder what that ballad would sound like, but they're not even, I know now that they're not going to do it. Like it would have happened by now if they were going to, but they're flirting with like, we could be an entirely, like, when I went to college and did like a tour, they were like, what do you guys listen to? I stupidly was like, 4 Year Strong's cover of Ironic by Alanis Morissette. And these like older college females who were attractive were like, oh, this is kind of nice, because they're just like basically an Iron and Wine vibe of just like kind of slowly playing it. But then like they pick it up or whatever. And it's just like, they were like, oh God, what the man? This is like, we're all just doing an afternoon tour that like, you don't have to, why would you do that? So I was like, okay, I have a lot to learn. This was a valuable lesson. I can tell. But if they could have been Iron and Wine and had their career, is what, you know what I mean? Like they are more talented, I think, than maybe they get credit for in so many ways.
Oh, totally. Similar story. I used to work at this like French cafe and restaurant. They have like a 2 Michelin star chef that worked there. And they always wanted to play this Pandora station that was like French cafe, and the owners weren't there. So, so I put on Rise or Die Trying. This is probably 2013. I'm still blasting.
People are
this.
coming for the public Wi-Fi, just getting like empty the place out.
So I got a text from the owner. I get a text from the owner that said, Rachel said you're playing death metal at the cafe. And I was like, yeah, right, dude. This is 4 Years Strong death metal. She said it was scary.
It's one of the cores, but it's like a joy core. You know, it's a subgenre. I'm glad you did that. And I'm glad people were upset by it. Even though, again, there's nothing really that off-putting about it. Like,
Yeah.
I think my dad was more off-put by Manchester Orchestra than he was by 4 Years Strong. It's like, this is a little darker than usual, huh? Like I don't know, I forget what album it was, but it was like, anyway. Yes, this one is, there's not too much. It's just fast and loud, that's all. There's nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy at all. Okay, Catastrophe, track 6. Tom.
Yes.
Is that your answer?
I thought I lost you. Did you say anything?
No, dramatic pause.
Oh.
Did this song, Catastrophe, make you want to run through a brick wall?
This was one of the first songs on the album that made me want to run through a brick wall.
Oh, ding, 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 ding. Correct. Of course it did.
This one I feel like stuck out to me first. The chorus is just so fun. And the kick, again, I had a double kick drum. I did not know how to use it. Could not use my left foot. And by kick drum, I mean kick pedal. But he is so fast with that thing. And all right, that joke about like twins, like loving twins, like I feel like this band is that way about triplets, like just super fast triplets all the time. And this song has so many good triplet patterns. And dude, God, okay, I'm starting to just this
You're
song's
good.
so good.
Fever on the Dance Floor from earlier. If anyone asks you to get down with them, you take the invite because it's probably going to be a nice evening. So save your breath and get down with me. Sign me up. Yeah, sure, I will. I'd love to. You want me to open up this freaking pit while we're at it? Thanks for having me, guys. So I'm going to say yes, through a brick wall caliber. I made a note on this one about there's something about the way the drums sound to me. I'm not a drum you might be able to help me out with this. The phrase that came to mind is ground and pound. There's something aligned with the mixing. Must have been, do you consider it good on like the way it all fit together, and the recorded version is so together, but the drums are a big part of the whole spirit of everything, as of course they would be. I don't know, there's something, I don't know, can you help me out here, ground and poundy about it? There's just like bringing the thunder, like there's nothing, they're never in your face, but you notice them when they're doing something great. Please talk, because I'm really digging myself into a hole here.
I don't think the production on this album is great. There's a lot of mid-range. I don't think it's a full representation of the frequency spectrum, but the click drum, especially for this kind of genre, again, it's like, it seems a little more metal inspired. It's very clicky. It doesn't have a ton of thump, but you can't, because when you're playing a kick drum as fast as he is, it all turns into one muddy kind of mess if there's too much low in there. So it's more click, a little more mid-range, not as much thump as you would generally hear. And like in this type of production where everything is loud, everything is in your face, it's kind of hard for them to all have like their own unique space to fit in. So it's all just like blasting, like tons of mid-range. And I would kind of love to hear this remixed. I know they have a 10-year anniversary version. I don't know if it's a remix, but there is a part of me that would love to hear things taken a little bit out of the mid-range.
Oh, did we mention they're coming out with new music and that's why we're doing this episode?
Oh, yeah, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, okay, cool, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to release this about a week before they actually come out with it, but we got too excited and wanted to just lay this down because it gave us an excuse to revisit the record, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just, at this point, I mean, I was re-listening before the episode and I like looked up at my phone and I was like, track 6, and they are still going the same pace. Like,
yeah.
How can this be happening? And how do I not hate it? How did this not get old or turn into a blur of one song? How is every song so individually amazing and just like so unapologetically intense?
That's the fate that Andrew WK, I feel like, fell under was, okay, it's a little too one note. You know, like it's obviously special, but he's going to be more or less a very special person in this world. He's brought a lot of happiness to a lot of people, but he's never going to headline Bonnaroo or something. You know what I mean? He's always going to be like a cool thing to have on the lineup when you release the, whatever. He'll be the 4th row down on a Friday or something, which is great.
It's interesting you brought him up a couple times because when I introduced my buddy Shane to this when we were living together, he really liked the band, but he said that like Andrew WK paved the way for this band. And I had
So-
never really listened to him, but I get it.
Andrew WK's basically even more direct in your face about what it is than this is. He literally just says, "It's time to party. He uses the word party so often. It's just like synth. He plays all the instruments on the recording as legend has it or whatever. But that limits him a bit, I'm sure. But it's just like, I basically wear a costume. I'm basically a clown, more or less, with the bloody face and the hair and the getup. But it's just like, I'm going to attack you. And but it's also that happy core vibe. He's never going to scream or be too like pig squealy about it. You know what I mean? It's just like fun core. I don't know. Is it possible just to be like fun core? That's the dumbest. Like, yeah, but we're having fun. I don't know. It's just good spirited core or something. But okay.
Gotcha.
I believe Shane's take, and I kind of buy into that. Like, there was a table set for like, oh, people want fast-paced that isn't necessarily going to like have blood-curdling Wilhelm screams in their ear every fucking break. You know, it's like easy Whitechapel. Like, just relax. I know some people are into that, but it just is so not my cup of tea. Like, it took everything I had to get into Shotos in like the 2 songs I liked of theirs. It was hard for me as a kid. It really was. Okay. Are we only on track 7? Men are from Mars, women are from hell?
What
Are
a
we?
title.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. It says it all.
Let's just talk about the breakdown, because holy shit.
Is this the best breakdown on the record?
Ooh.
And did it make you want to run through a fucking wall?
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding.
The breakdown was definitely, it stood out to me because it's like a little more dissonant than the rest. Dig-a-da-dat, dig-a-da-dat, down, now, now, dig-a-da, like, and it was actually, I learned how to play that like immediately because it sounded fun, and it's just like this weird little like minor, I don't even know if it's a minor, it's like this little walk down, I think it's like a 7/6/5 thing.
Yeah, it's not all the same breakdown. You know, it's,
right.
You know, they leave you, you know, we should do well, we shouldn't, but yeah, I mean, they're coming after you. We're later on the album, so they're kind of exploring a little bit more, and it's welcome.
Yeah. It's a really good song. Lyrics, I mean, dude, their melodies and their rhythms are just so fun. I can't believe we have a band like this in our lifetime. I don't care if the stuff, I liked the album that came after this, actually after the cover album, but like, I don't care if even the band itself can't replicate what they did in 2007. This album is so good. It's all I need from anyone. This is like the biggest gift in the universe to me.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we say that all the time on the show, like just thankful it ever happened, honestly.
yeah.
I think we're coming up to the second video that was released, track 8,
Yes.
Bada Bing, What a Pipe.
Yeah. What's that a reference from?
No idea. But does it make you want to run through a wall?
Definitely.
Ding, ding, ding. Yes. It So you casually walk between function and fashion. Are you dressed to kill or dressed to impress? Doesn't act like it could get better than this. Seemed to be the single. What do you think? Is this like the one that people generally were passing around in your experience?
No, it was all Heroes Get Remembered, Legends Never Die.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this was a single. It was their second one.
Yeah.
And we have, the roll with the punches, because you know that it's inevitable, soon to be unforgettable. And the band With the Punches, who my band was supposed to play with, and I forget what happened. I guess they did something similar. With the Punches came out. Me vs. Hero, I think, was one of the bands that was most successful with the easycore genre. There was a lot of copycats around this time. So I don't want to say that there wasn't, because there's literally bands copying their style and naming their bands after their...
No, you're fine. There's a difference between it affecting the landscape, which we often deal with on the show, and you being still correct and suggesting that the subgenre was forever impacted by it. We talked about it a little bit on the Wonder Years episode as well. I wasn't sure what scale you were referencing, but yes, for all the reasons you just mentioned, there was an impact by their existence, 100%.
There was I remember Ryan just being like, I found another easycore band, and there were 10 of them that I had on my iPod at one point, and I was just listening to all of them, but the only thing that lasted for me was Me vs. Hero and 4 Years Strong. They did it the best. I miss Me vs. Hero so much, Pat. But even they went away from the easycore after their first EP and then their first album.
The folk
into more
came
pop
2 years later, and has not been the same since, for real. So much weird stuff happened in that 4 to 5 to 6 year period, and then it just kind of, obviously they're doing the nostalgia tours now, and that's the reason people, thank you for listening, by the way. It was shocking. The numbers always shock me, but it's the reason people listen to the show is because there's a thirst for it, but I feel like it just went away. And now we're into the nostalgia era of it, but it's just like, damn, Mumford & Sons really came in and everything up. Like, not that I didn't like Sigh No More or anything, but it was just like, fun's over, guys. I don't know. Like, the world's just very different now. Edward Sharpe has come to kill everybody and then eventually write songs for Pixar movies. But no, okay, it's track 9, Beat Down in the Key of Happy, which might describe their existence, honestly.
Yes.
This, I'm going to let you take this one. We're on to the last 3 songs and we are running long. I'm going to go ahead and just did all 3 of them make me want to run through a wall? Yes. Ding, 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 and ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, I love the line, so let's get moving and let's get grooving, to every single word we've grown to know. Just, again, dude, they're just looking to fucking listen to music with their friends and have a good time. And like, that's what this album was for me and all of my friends. It was so awesome. Like, late nights at Eaton Park, drinking horrible coffee, there for the midnight breakfast buffet, all you can eat breakfast food for like $7, and just like basically doing the podcast with 12 guys without microphones. Hey, how good is that song? So good, you know? Just like for months or years on end. And again, this breakdown is fun, and it taught me about like just throwing a couple kicks in between the guitars. Really fun, again, rhythmic stuff. And then the breakdown, like reprise at the end, again, it's just like these huge payoffs where they take something that they've already given to you. You already love it. And then they do it a little bit slower. And it's just like, again, kind of that hardcore.
You know who did that? Cartel.
Oh yeah.
They give it to you slower. I don't know. They probably didn't take anything from that, but
just
you
totally,
saying,
though.
Taking it and giving it to you just in, not double time, but slower on the last go around. Like, man, that was really good for one album, which we did an episode on, and I feel like we trashed it, but I hate having coming away from it, not hopefully getting across that we enjoyed it.
I don't remember that episode.
The title was honestly a one-hit wonder, and I was like, ooh, or a one album.
Ouch!
Like, one, yeah. And it wasn't ouch because I owe so much to them because I saw them live again, and we should do a new one and to apologize and just keep talking about the same shit forever. But track 10, If He's Here, Who's Running Hell? I just have that all you have has been falling down around you, and I found a way to get along without you, like you said, kind of what you were just describing, right? Like, there's still payoffs. It's still fast. It's still gang vocally. It's still huge in track 9 out of 10. Not for a moment have they taken a break. And it's beautiful as well, right? Some of these last thirds of the song, the vocals shine through and the songwriting shines through. It's not just, I think that's maybe what limited Andrew WK. He did play all of the instruments and he did kind of arrange everything. Maybe there's a complexity that comes with what they were doing and how complex it was to begin with, I guess. The payoffs are bigger, the bigger the risk you take, the bigger the payoff's going to be if it works, I guess, right? So yeah, man, even into track 9, because usually you run out of steam at some point, right? Some of these albums, but I guess we talk about the great ones, so not all of them do. So, but yeah, it's just a gem in track 9. You're just like, damn, this was so good. This is the gush part, right? This is where we try to cut ourselves off from just straight gushing about everything. But
right, I really love track 10, and again, by this point, the band's usually running out of steam. We're coming off like even the upsides that we love. There was 3 songs in a row that we were like, they're fine, but like we don't love them. And then boom, it hits you with Washington Square Park. But like, or I guess, what was that? Melrose Diner coming out of that. But like track 10, I think this might be one of the few flawless front to back albums ever. And I love track 10, the chorus, I won't let you drag me. It's just like, oh my God, yeah. And the harmonies are fucking flawless. You're bearing lies in your chest. The bottle opens, and here we go again. Like the lyrics are good. Just wow.
Yeah, I think that might be the secret sauce. Is the lyrics are really strong and complex. Like there's Andrew WK was, I like to party. Let's party. Come on, now we're gonna have a party. That's not. I'm like I butchered that third part, but that's basically the song, right? And it's awesome. It's so great. But then you listen, and they're like, now show me what you work. Good, a lot of fever in your burning other days. It's just like
right.
It takes you like 50 to 250 listens to really, or a decade's worth of listening to really appreciate you unravel that next layer and like, oh, this is what they were trying. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like there's no way you're going to get all of it on the first run through, obviously. So yeah.
So we have really the only departure from this whole album. The last track on the regular, not the deluxe edition, they had some other demos and stuff, but track 11, Manic, ROD, Rise or Die, which I'm assuming is what it means. It's a little less happy sounding and it changes at the end. So it kind of, again, ties the whole thing together in a perfect bow. But we have a little more like punk inspired straight power chords. Da, 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 da. And part of me is a little sad that it's not exactly like every other song. But then again, the payoff at the end, it goes into that like reprise of Tonight, and it's just gang vocals the whole time. Here at the top of the world, and it's just like super simple and really slow, nice breakdown, makes me want to run through a wall. And it is nice that I'm glad that they put this song at the end, because with the whole rest of the album being just unwavering, I'm glad they changed it up a little bit at the end, but then ended the whole album with this big anthemic gang vocal breakdown thing. It's just like, it's such a perfect ending to the record. And it's so like, yes, this is the end. It's done. Whereas the Wonder Years on the upsides let the album end 4 times. Like I said, the last Lord of the Rings movie, this is just like, no, dude, we are done.
Right.
And it's good.
We come across this sometimes, and this is kind of the Weezer thing in a nutshell. Is it bad for a band to come out with a timeless record? Like, does it derail their career a little bit? Like with Weezer, it happened with their first one, right? I always manage to bring them up, of course. Haha, that's the joke. But, Rise or Die Trying is, you're going to have to reckon with that album's popularity for the rest of your existence. I wonder, because you can top it. You can always be better, right? But sometimes it's just like,
oof, that's hard.
Does a band know? You know what I mean? Does a band know? Like, this is peak 4 Year Strong. This is, and I don't even know if I'm saying accurate things because taste is subjective, but it's peak 4 Year Strong, right? Like front to back, this is the 4 Year Strong record in my opinion, and in a good way. But I wonder if bands ever feel handcuffed by it. We should probably get out of here.
Yeah, let's give a song of the week.
Sure.
But I do want to say that 4 Year Strong has put out other great albums.
Yes.
I bought
100%.
in some way, shape, or form on vinyl, and I think I stopped playing it after the first song and a half because I was so upset. I hated it. But they've put out, I've heard at least 2 other good records since then. I think.
It can drive you crazy enough to do a cover album, I guess, right? I mean, I'm trying to guess what their decision process was, but
I heard a rumor about that. I heard that they were on a record label for 2 albums, and their first album was so successful that they thought they needed to scale up to a bigger record label, but they were contracted for a second one, so they put out a really fast cover album to fulfill their agreement so they can move up to a bigger label.
Oh, interesting.
That's what I heard from Tyler Long at Eaton Park.
Well, hey, he's a Sherpa. It sounds like we should designate that man. Okay. I've been digging into Soccer Mommy lately. This album's from 2018, clean, but the tune Your Dog off of it, just been digging her stuff lately. So I'm not even gonna, that's just what it is. Soccer Mommy, she's great. Love her. And that's my song of the week.
Cool. I went to an Alamo Drafthouse to see the Taylor Swift documentary, Miss Americana. It's one of those ones where they like they serve you food while you watch the movie. And it was a really fun experience. Spent way too much money, but it was a lot of fun. And she released a new song with the documentary called Only the Young. And it's pretty good. I'm into it. Yeah. So kind of a hopeful song about, when you're feeling down, like you're living in a world that doesn't give a shit about you. What can you really do? Like, politically, and basically saying that the kids are the future, and I like
the
it.
The kids are the future.
They
literally
are.
Like right. They would have to be. Something catastrophic would have to happen for that not to be the case at all times.
I saw a really funny meme of some old white dude being like, more millennials are being voted into Congress. What are your thoughts? And someone was like, based on my understanding of linear time, I don't know what the alternative is.
Yeah, man. Speaking of which, vote, right?
Right.
Just kidding. We don't really get political, but do it. Okay. Super way longer, but in a good way. It was fun. We got too riled up. That was a fun one. Thanks for joining us. We had a stretch of sad boy classics there, and I'm glad we've been having some fun lately. Follow us at _reminiscent FM. Tom, congratulations to being the winner of Did This Song Make Me Want to Run Through a Brick Wall? The first season. I think we got picked up for a second, which is cool. I love you, and I will talk to you very soon, my guy.
All right, love you too, man. See ya. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for making it all the way through this episode. We promise we're trying to keep these shorter, but we just love these songs and these bands so much. Please tweet at the show at _reminiscent FM and let us know who introduced you to 4 Year Strong and what their first song was. Have you ever seen them live? Did it match the expectations set in the Heroes Get Remembered, Legends Never Die video? Let us know everything you know about this band. We love them so much. We could bike 1,000 miles in a minute. They're so great, high energy. We love you all. See you next week. Bye.